She was born at the end of the 19th century. Unlike most American children at that time, she lived in many different places as a child, since her father was a railroad worker. Her family had to move frequently to be near the place where the latest railway was being built. In 1917, Amelia Earhart was only 19 years old, and she traveled to Canada to volunteer as a nurse's assistant at a military hospital. She worked with the soldiers who were injured in World War I. She volunteered there because she was hoping to become a doctor. However, she changed her mind. Most of the patients were military pilots, and they told Earhart about many of their adventures in the war. At that time, she decided that she also would become a pilot. Immediately after the war, Earhart started taking flying lessons from someone called Netta Snook, who was one of the first women flight instructors. Eventually, Earhart managed to buy a small biplane of her own. She attempted to break the record for the greatest height that a woman had ever flown. Amazingly, she succeeded in this and flew nearly 3,500 meters high, despite the small size of her plane. A short time later, she flew across the Atlantic Ocean as a passenger. Later, she flew across on her own and became the first woman to ever fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. She then decided to fly from Hawaii to California, crossing a large part of the Pacific Ocean. 10 pilots had died trying to do this, and no person, man or woman, had ever completed this flight. However, Earhart succeeded on her first try. We've talked about Earhart's early success in her career. Now, let's look at how her marriage led to further success. In 1931, Earhart married a businessman called George Putnam. He became his wife's manager and was very effective at promoting her career. People loved to hear Earhart speak, and she was as comfortable in front of an audience as she was in the pilot's seat. Putnam was able to publish her books and get her contracts with many different advertisers. In addition, Putnam arranged for speaking tours. Earhart talked not only about flying, but also about many other issues, such as women's rights and world peace. Earhart earned money from her books, her advertisements, and her speeches. And she needed this cash because she was always trying to buy and maintain a large number of aeroplanes. Earhart had always dreamed of flying around the world, and she finally got her chance in 1937. She began in California and flew across the United States. At every place she stopped in the United States and Europe and Asia, large crowds gathered. Her flight was getting worldwide interest. On the morning of July 2nd, she took off with a co-pilot on the most difficult flight of her journey. This was a 4,000-kilometer trip over the Pacific Ocean, from the island of New Guinea to the island of Howland. 20 hours into the flight, she sent a radio message saying that her fuel was almost gone, and she never reached Howland Island. Rescuers didn't find any clue of Earhart or her plane, despite the fact that they searched for many days. Amelia Earhart's disappearance remained a mystery for more than 50 years. Finally, in 1992, some searchers on Nikumaroro Island, which is an island near Howland, found a shoe that probably belonged to Earhart. They also found some metal that may have been part of her plane. This small island has no drinkable water and is often flooded, sometimes remaining underwater for many weeks. If Earhart and her co-pilot crashed there, they could only have survived for a few days. So, this place may be where Earhart's adventurous life came to an end. However, we will never be sure.